What's up, babe? How's it going? The FBI defines international terrorism as violent criminal acts committed by individuals and/or groups who are inspired by or associated with designated foreign terrorist organizations or nations. Terrorism has long plagued innocents from all across the globe. Perhaps one of the best-known instances of terrorism in the U.S. is the September 11th attacks by Al-Qaeda. This attack spurred the United States to take drastic actions to avoid future attacks. Today, we're looking at how terrorism has shaped laws in America and the controversies surrounding those laws. It's so much harder than I thought it was. On October 26, 2001, the USA Patriot Act was passed. This act, which was an acronym for
Uniting and Strengthening America by Providing Appropriate Tools Required to Intercept and Obstruct Terrorism,
gave the US government increased surveillance abilities. They're listening. Although this act was seen by most as a gross violation of privacy, it was intended to help the government identify terrorists by checking all sorts of records. For example, this act gave law enforcement the ability to monitor emails and cell phones. Give me that. In 2013, ex-CIA agent Edward Snowden leaked documents exposing the government surveillance of American citizens' communication records, leading to widespread backlash from the American public. In response to this, President Obama and Congress tweaked the USA Patriot Act to limit the government's power. One of the more controversial practices of the US government following September 11th was their treatment of prisoners at the Guantanamo Bay detention camp in Cuba. Designed to hold terrorist suspects, this prison, made in the wake of 9/11, mostly houses members of the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. Since they aren't associated with their country's governments, these terrorists are not recognized as official soldiers, but rather as unlawful enemy combatants, meaning that they're not prisoners of war, meaning that the Geneva Conventions do not apply to them. And since this prison is located outside of the US laws don't apply to these prisoners either. All this is to say that these prisoners have essentially no rights. However, some prisoners, such as Murat Kornats, who we'll hear from in a second, have been wrongly accused and are at Guantanamo Bay for crimes they didn't commit. The prison has faced much backlash from the American public due to the treatment of its prisoners, most of whom have been sent there without official charges, and all of whom have been sent there without a trial.
Has done it.
In 2005, Congress and President Bush passed the Detainee Treatment Act, which banned the torture of detainees in U.S. custody, including detainees at Guantanamo Bay. However, the effectiveness of this act remains unclear given what we've just heard from Murat Kornats. Another incredibly controversial practice during the War on Terror has been U.S. drone strikes in the Middle East. Although the intention of these drone strikes has been to eliminate terrorists before they have a chance to attack the U.S., many civilians in the Middle East have been killed in these strikes. The U.S. population has had mixed feelings about these drone strikes. On one hand, some people see this as a necessary evil to win the war on terror. On the other hand, many people obviously disapprove of the murder of countless innocent civilians. To compromise, President Obama shared his new policy with America. In a move to prevent civilian casualties, he required the CIA to have a near certainty that no civilians would be harmed prior to launching a drone strike. However, this hasn't been as effective as one might have hoped. In 2021, a US drone strike killed 10 Afghan civilians and no terrorists. However, steps have been taken in recent years to protect civilians. President Biden instituted a system where no missiles could be launched without White House approval, leading to a significant decrease in missile strikes. Despite the United States pulling out of Afghanistan in 2021, the war on terror is still an active one. It's unlike any other war we've ever seen. Because of this, the laws surrounding it are unique. And with that comes controversy.